Okay, so I figured it would probably be a good idea just to review prompt fading, and I know we've talked about it in the past, but just to make sure that we both have a really good understanding of it, and also because you're overseeing, other staff working with him, and also you're providing parent training with mom. So it's important to make sure that you have a really good way of explaining it to them, and being able to put it in terms that actually make it
Makes
possible
sense.
for them, right,
Okay.
to do. So. Again, prompt fading, is the gradual reduction of a prompt. So it's maybe starting with something that is a more intrusive prompt and then gradually reducing the intensity of that prompt so that the child is, able to perform the skill independently. So while we're reducing the prompt, we're also increasing the amount of independence that is required of the individual to finish the task or gain the reinforcer. And again, there's the two main ways that you would maybe look at prompt fading. So you could fade within the same type of prompt. So if you're using a physical prompt to perform or teach them how to do a task, then you could go from using a full physical prompt to just a partial physical prompt to maybe even a slight physical prompt and then to nothing.
Okay.
So you can stay within that same type of prompt to fade.
Okay.
Or you can switch to a different type of prompt that is less intrusive. So you could go from, let's say, a physical prompt to a modeling prompt to maybe a gesture prompt.
Okay.
And then to nothing. So again, you kind of have to determine what's going to be the most appropriate way to fade that prompt for the learner and then also for the skill that you're trying to teach.
Okay.
So for this individual, since again you obviously know him better, thinking about trying to figure out what that prompt hierarchy should be, do you have any ideas about how you can best kind of set that up for him so the staff knows exactly what kind of prompt to fade to?
Well, I mean, he definitely can do it with a full physical prompt.
Okay.
But I do notice that a lot of the prompts, he just needs like a gesture.
Oh, okay.
So, and then he seems to remember, what to do next. So I'm thinking we could probably start maybe at a model or gesture or something like that.
Okay. So most of the time he's able to do it with a gesture.
Most of the time.
But he's not able to fade out from the gesture, is what I'm hearing.
Right.
Okay. Because there's a different type of prompt that you might then go from if he's constantly referring to that gesture.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever used a visual prompt for that particular skill?
No.
Because if he's constantly relying on you indicating to him what the next step is going to be, then maybe setting up a prompting system where you go from, the gesture to a visual, and you can get him to attend to a visual prompt.
Yeah.
Then that'll allow you to fade off of, or fade back from that situation. And eventually even fade out your physical presence. And maybe that visual prompt will be something that we could fade out over time.
Okay.
Or maybe that's going to be something that has to stay in place for a while. But it sounds like maybe that would be the next step. If he's kind of stuck, he can do it with the physical prompt.
Right.
He can do it with a model. He can do it with a gesture, but you're not able to fade out that gesture prompt. Then maybe going to a visual prompt might make or be successful for him.
Which would make sense since he does use a visual prompt for teeth brushing. So
yeah. So then we probably just need to set up the same type of schedule for him, and that would be a part of that prompt hierarchy then that we could develop for the therapists.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Good.